All right, guys, so this right here is a giant deal, and it really shows just how dark our current times are. That, even our top allies have had to wake up to the monster that this government has become. So take a look at this. The United Kingdom has suspended some intelligence sharing with the United States over the boat strikes that are happening in the Caribbean. The United Kingdom took a look at what the U.S. was doing, and they said, these are war crimes. These are war crimes. This is illegal. This is unacceptable. We are no longer going to share intelligence with you because you could use it to murk civilians as you're continuously doing. And we don't want to end up on trial. We don't want to end up in The Hague for aiding and abetting the clear murder of innocent people and terrorist attacks against innocent people. That's what this is. That's what this is. Stop and think about that, man. Stop. All of the shit that the UK stood by our side for. Think about it. They were partners in crime with the illegal and offensive Iraq war, a war based on lies against a country that didn't attack us. They weren't going to attack us. They were no threat to us. And we said he had weapons of mass destruction. He didn't. Saddam Hussein didn't. We said it was literally about the oil. Let's be honest. It was about the oil. And the UK was right there with us. Right there with us. Yeah, sure. We're in on the lie. We're in on the illegal and offensive war. But it's now so absurd even for them. Like, in other words, they're not even bothering to lie to us anymore, right? About the nature of what they're doing. They're just like, yeah, we just do what we want. They're acting more like a fucking mafia gangster thug than they are like a government in any serious way. All right, so let's go through some of this. This is in CNN. The UK is no longer sharing intelligence with the U.S. about suspected drug trafficking vessels in the Caribbean because it does not want to be complicit in U.S. military strikes and believes the attacks are illegal, sources familiar with the matter told CNN. The UK's decision marks a significant break from its closest ally and intelligence sharing partner and underscores the growing skepticism over the legality of the U.S. military's campaign around Latin America. For years, the UK, which controls a number of territories in the Caribbean where it bases intelligence assets, has helped the U.S. locate vessels suspected of carrying drugs so that the U.S. Coast Guard could interdict them. I actually don't know how to pronounce that word. The sources said. That means the ships would be stopped, boarded, its crew detained, and drugs seized. So let me just pause to point out real quick. What the UK is saying here is very similar to what I was saying early on in this thing. Even if these ships actually were transporting drugs, it is still not the right thing to do to vaporize them, to murder them, to do an attack against them. Even if they were trafficking drugs, you board the ship and you arrest them and you try them. Like, isn't this obvious? But the fact, it actually is worse than that because the ships that we're bombing, they're not even drug trafficking. I'm sure you guys have seen the stories, but a lot of these boats that they're bombing, they can't reach the U.S. from where they are. They would need to refuel 20 fucking times. So it's lies. And even Rand Paul has admitted this that there's zero fentanyl that comes from Venezuela, and they're pretending like that's not the case. They're pretending like there is a lot of fentanyl coming from there. This is depraved, bro. The intelligence was typically sent to Joint Interagency Task Force South, a task force stationed in Florida that includes representatives from a number of partner nations and works to reduce the illicit drug trade. But shortly after the U.S. began launching lethal strikes against the boats in September, however, the UK grew concerned that the U.S. might use intelligence provided by the British to select targets. British officials believe the U.S. military strikes, which have killed 76 people now. Oh my God, bro. I blinked and it went from 60 to 76. Which goes to show you, I follow this stuff for a living, and even I've lost count of how many innocent fishermen they vaporized. British officials believe the U.S. military strikes, which have killed 76 people, violate international law, the sources said. The intelligence pause began over a month ago, they said. The UN's human rights chief, Volker Turk, said last month that the strikes violate international law and amount to extrajudicial killings. The UK agrees with that assessment, the sources told CNN. The British embassy in Washington, the Pentagon, and the White House did not respond to requests for comment. They're embarrassed. They're fucking embarrassed. They're embarrassed. But guys, this is what you get when you have foreign policy run by Marco Rubio, the guy who's never been a war he doesn't fucking like, and Pete Hegseth, a fucking drunk rapist, right? This is what you get. And Trump, a guy who doesn't give a fuck, but, if you ask him, hey, can we vaporize this? Sure, why not? This is a guy who asked if we can nuke a hurricane. Of course he's going to be fine with murdering fishermen. It's a guy who said on Fox and Friends in 2016 that we should take out the families of terrorists, not just the terrorists, their families too. Before the U.S. military began blowing up boats in September, countering illicit drug trafficking was handled by law enforcement and the U.S. Coast Guard. Cartel members and drug smugglers were treated as criminals with due process rights, something the UK was happy to help with, the sources said. But the Trump administration has argued that the U.S. military can legally kill suspected traffickers because they pose an imminent threat to Americans and are enemy combatants who are in armed conflict with the U.S. This is that bullshit like marry together the war on drugs with the war on terror. That's what this is. Trump is trying to give himself the right to kill whoever he wants for whatever reason he wants. And you think they're going to stop here? They're not. They're also going to say, oh, you're suspected to be affiliated with Antifa, so we murdered you, but it's okay because we say you're a terrorist. According to a memo sent by the administration of Congress, the Justice Department's Office of Legal Counsel issued an opinion, which is still classified, reinforcing the argument. CNN has reported and Trump has designated a number of drug cartels as foreign terrorist groups. This is all made up. The White House has said repeatedly that the administration's actions comply fully with the law of armed conflict. Oh my God, what an insane lie. That's like an Israel level lie. The area of international law that is designed to prevent attacks on civilians. But legal experts say the law of armed conflict would still apply to civilian drug traffickers and the designation of a group as a foreign terrorist organization. Yeah, but that's like, they're not even that. Like, if they were that, it would still be bad and wrong, but they're not even that. We've had the president of Colombia came out and said, you just murdered one of our fishermen. Like, we know some of these people's names. We know some of their stories. They've blown up ships from Trinidad and Tobago. They've blown up ships from Colombia. Apparently, when they're plotting to do regime change in Venezuela, on the list of places to bomb, there are also places in Mexico and in Colombia. And so these are rogue, unhinged, neocon imperialist freaks who think that the rules and the laws don't apply to them, and they think they could work their way around it and lie and get away with it. And you know what? They're probably right. Unless and until the world fucking steps up collectively and everybody says, you know what, we're done trading with the U.S., we're done working with the U.S., we're totally cutting off all ties with the U.S., the only way to fucking bully the U.S. back into line is to do that. You need all the countries to get together and say, this is fucking unacceptable, or you need people to start getting fucking arrested. Start with Netanyahu, but you can do Trump too. You can do fucking Hegseth, right? You can do Marco Rubio, because this is unacceptable. They're so unhinged. This is what, when there are no consequences, this is what happens, right? In many ways, you can blame, going all the way back to George W. Bush and Dick Cheney. They're the ones who started this with the war on terror, with illegal torture, with wars based on lies, with, ignoring the United Nations. They started it. Then Obama came in. He didn't arrest them. So they fucking got away with it. So now illegal wars became a matter of opinion. It became a matter of opinion because fucking Dick Cheney died a free man. George W. Bush is still out there painting, okay? And now, there's a logical conclusion. Somebody more depraved than them comes along, and they go, okay, I'll mix the war on drugs with the war on terror, start blowing up random fishermen, lie about it relentlessly. But even the UK is going, you know what? We can't go along with this. Because, guys, again, their lies aren't even believable anymore. And every day it's another ship or another two ships. And then you see the video of it, and it's like a little fucking dinghy fishing boat or a little fucking speedboat. And where even if it was packed to the brim with drugs, it would be not even enough for a bachelor party. And this is who you're fucking murdering? This is who you're murdering. Meanwhile, like, make it make sense. You're going to blow up people for drug trafficking. Meanwhile, like, alcohol is one of the worst drugs, and the CEO of Anheuser-Busch could, like, donate to the Trump campaign and be at, like, a Republican cocktail party. But we're okay with, like, blowing up people, shipping weed in here or whatever the fuck. Like, this is insane. This is fucking insane. So, that's where we are, bro. That's where we are. The UK is looking at us going, you know what? You guys are far too criminal for us to work with. We're cutting off intelligence for that reason. And understand something. For them to do this, realize that, like, they're risking a lot of other shit, too. They're risking the U.S. going, okay, you don't want to work with us on that? Well, fuck you in this way, in that way, in this way. And Trump is petty. Trump is vindictive. There are probably already consequences for them, but they took a stand for the right reasons. And so this is the sort of shit we need to see, not just from the UK, from all of our allies, from the rest of the world. Israel and the US need to be fucking isolated. They need to be fucking isolated. And we need to step up in this country and make there be consequences. If Brazil can hold accountable their coup plotters, right? They can hold Bolsonaro accountable. They can hold the people that did their version of January 6th accountable. Why can't we do the same shit? Why can't we do the same shit? So the fact that they've gotten away with everything they've gotten away with, that's the unacceptable part. And we need mass arrests of all these criminals ASAP. And if we don't do that, we don't have a country. In the long run, there is no country. This is a lawless fucking rogue regime. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.